In this video, you're going to learn how to close out your presentation with style by having a smooth and seamless conclusion. Everyone likes a good ending, so let's end your presentation right. Folks, my name is Michael Saad. I'm a professor and trainer in communication skills, and I've done a lot of public speaking in my career. And I can tell you from experience that if you want to leave a lasting impression with your audience, you need to send them on their way with a memorable conclusion that will stay with them long after the presentation is over. So what is a conclusion really? It's so much more than just a nice bow on top of a presentation. A conclusion is an opportunity to emphasize your key points and reinforce your overall message. It's also an opportunity to tell the audience what to do with the content you just presented, whether it's thinking a certain way or maybe taking action on something. Basically, a well-executed conclusion lets your ideas sit in the audience's mind long after the presentation is over. So, how do you build out a great conclusion? Well, let's find out. First and foremost, a presentation should never just end abruptly. I've seen so many presentations with the speaker saying, and that's it. That's my presentation. They didn't summarize anything. They didn't give the audience any next steps. And if you just end a presentation without guiding the audience to a satisfying conclusion, you're going to take them completely off guard and, more than anything, just leave them confused. Think about a movie where you're at the exciting climax. The heroes are about to defeat the villain, and then all of a sudden, the main character just looks at the screen and says, yeah, that's it. No! You need to know what happens to the characters. You need a resolution. You need to find out that they're okay. And if you don't, the people in the theater are probably going to ask for their money back. So give them closure. Give them a conclusion. So let's look at the parts you need to include in every conclusion. All right, the first part of your conclusion should be to sum up your key takeaways. Now, a lot of people confuse key takeaways with just recapping the main topics from your presentation. But these are two very different things. Your main topics are just your main topics. But your key takeaways are any important points, any thoughts, or any big ideas drawn from your presentation. So a good way to think about key takeaways is to ask yourself, once my presentation is over, what is it that I want my audience to remember? In all honesty, your audience is probably going to forget a lot of your presentation. So with everything that you talked about, what are the things that you absolutely 100% want them to retain? What is it you want them to keep in their brain? Those are your key takeaways. Okay, after you've mentioned your key takeaways, you want to make a call to action. Now, with a call to action, you're basically telling the audience what to do or what to think long after your presentation ends. Tell them how to utilize the content that you just presented. So ask the audience to change their habits or their mindset or think differently about something. Maybe you ask them to be mindful of a certain topic or to remember an important point. Again, direct the audience to do or think something once they leave your presentation. And the reason you do this is to keep your audience thinking about your presentation. If they're taking action on the content that you've just given them, your presentation is going to feel a lot more important to them than if you just said, thanks folks, have a great evening. All right, the final part of your conclusion is to come full circle. So here, you're going to end your presentation the same way that you started it. Ideally, you started your presentation with an opening hook. And if you didn't, you should really watch my other video on introductions. Link in the bio. So whatever story or statement or statistic that you opened with at the beginning of your presentation, end with the same thing. In other words, stop where you started. What you're doing here is you're reinforcing the original message of your presentation and reminding the audience about the importance of your topic. Also, it's just a really nice way to end your presentation because it brings everything full circle. You're reminding the audience why they showed up and why you're giving this presentation in the first place. Now, you can simply reiterate or echo the original opening hook that you had at the start of your presentation, or you can build on it a bit with some of the key content that you just presented. And if you build on your opening hook a little bit, it actually lets the audience see your topic from a different perspective, almost as though you've evolved it a bit. All right, now that you know the key parts of any effective conclusion, let's take a look at an example of a conclusion that I would use for a presentation on public speaking skills. Folks, as we come to a close today, I want to emphasize that public speaking skills aren't only for presentations. They can help you in meetings, in interviews, and in everyday life. Also, public speaking builds overall confidence, and it enables people to see you as a leader and an authority figure. So if there's one thing that I want you to go out and do after this presentation is over, is practice your public speaking skills on friends or family, or really anyone who's willing to give you an audience. This is a skill like anything else, and you need to practice it in order to see improvement over time. As I said at the beginning of this presentation, anyone has the ability to become a great presenter. And based on everything I've discussed here today, you now have the skills to go out and be a great one yourself. So get to it. Take care. You'll notice with my key takeaways that I didn't just list off the key points. Instead, I chose some specific ideas that I really wanted my audience to remember. These were the ideas that I wanted my audience to keep in their minds as they walk away from my presentation. Next, with my call to action, I had a very simple ask for my audience to go out and start practicing presentation skills. And it wasn't something overly complex either. Just go and start exercising the things that I talked about in my presentation. So my call to action for the audience was to get them to start doing something rather than thinking something. But either way, you want to make sure that you're giving the audience a bit of homework. Give them a call to action. And finally, I stopped where I started by saying that everyone has the ability to be a great presenter. So here, I likely opened up my presentation by saying the same anecdote about everyone being able to have excellent presentation skills. And you'll notice in my conclusion, I not only repeated that anecdote, but added a little bit of context to it based on everything I just spoke about. And that, folks, is how you deliver a quality conclusion. So if you follow this formula of having key takeaways, a call to action, and you come full circle, you'll make sure that your audience walks away from your presentation completely satisfied and knowing what main ideas to remember and what steps to take with the content that you just gave them. As always, I hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any additional questions about conclusions and how to better incorporate them into presentations. Also, if you want to work together on gaining even more presentation skills, click the link in the description to join my free group on communication skills. And now, I will conclude this presentation. See you later.